buckle up, kiddos, because this is going to be a long one. We have 28 books to talk about. Grab a snack, grab a drink. We're gonna be here a while. I have not done a wrap up since October of 2023, so I have just piles of books sitting on the couch next to me. That's why we're doing this here and not in front of the bookshelves. I cannot stand for this long. The good news is that if you've been keeping up with my content, everything here except for one book has already been spoken about in a vlog. I will link all of the vlogs in the description if you've missed one and you want to catch up that way. So we're really just putting things in context. Let me start with the thing that we haven't covered in a vlog. So if you just want to see that and you want to get out of here, I will do that for you. And then we'll go through everything in star rating order. We'll start low and we'll end high. So the thing that I haven't spoken to you about is Small Angels. This is something that I kind of picked up on a whim. This was a gift that I was given last year for Christmas by my brother's girlfriend. And I just became really interested in the synopsis of this. I was looking for kind of like a lighter horror. We're following one village and we're kind of jumping around in time. So in present day, there's this wedding that's about to happen at this church by these woods called Mockbeggar Woods, and some things have gone down there in the past. Our bride's fiance grew up in this town and she's getting married in this lovely little church there, and now everyone is telling her these really spooky stories and she's starting to hear things at night. Things are getting creepy, we bounce all around. This is really a light horror story for people who love historical fiction, which isn't really who I am. I don't typically love historical fiction, but I still did have a really good time with this. My rating is a 3.25. I would say that I enjoyed the older timelines more than I enjoyed our present day timeline. I really enjoyed watching these kids grow up in this wood and have these responsibilities that they shouldn't have had as children. And I just really loved the lore behind the ghosties and things that were going on in these woods, and the present day story wasn't the thing that intrigued me the most, although it did very obviously need to be there in order for this whole thing to make sense. I was interested the whole time, it just didn't blow me out of the water. That's Small Angels, that's what you missed if you've seen all of my other content. Let's dive into the thing that I enjoyed the least in the past 3 months. And I'm pretty sure this is gonna come as no surprise to anyone, but it is Iron Flame. I think when I originally reviewed this, I gave it a 3. It's definitely not a 3. It's a 2, 2.5 at best. I wanted to love this so much because Fourth Wing is so important to me, because it has EDS representation, and that's something that I struggle with, and I had never seen myself depicted in a book before. And so Fourth Wing was just a really important book to me. And Iron Flame really, I don't know, everything kind of crumbled in here. The world building was not good. We were rehashing the same things that we did in Fourth Wing in a less interesting manner. The relationship in here just was so annoying. I really did not like any of our characters, and the things that were enjoyable about this could have been plucked out and we could have had a nice little 200-page book. Did not need to be this long. It did not need to be this annoying. I don't want to spend any more time talking about this. If you want to watch me gush about how much I loved Fourth Wing and how much I didn't like this, I will link the vlog in the description. Okay, moving on to things that I gave 3 stars. Let's start with Lone Woman. I don't think there's anything wrong with this, but I'm gonna say kind of a similar thing that I said about Small Angels, and that is that I am not a historical fiction girly, and I think if you are a historical fiction girly and you want to get into horror, this is exactly the book that you should pick up. In addition to, if you are a historical fiction girly and a literary fiction girly, you need to pick up this as well, which we'll get to in a second. But Lone Women is objectively a very good book. We have our main character who's fleeing this house that's burning down. She's traveling across the country to set up her own homestead, and the thing that she's bringing with her is this massive trunk, and what's in the trunk is quite horrifying. It has stakes, it feels tense, it also has a lot of hope at the end. If you are someone who typically likes historical fiction and you like the intersection of historical fiction and horror, or you are a historical fiction fan who's looking to get into horror, I think this is a fantastic choice. Lone Women is one of the things that I read when I read the nominees for the Goodreads Choice Awards for horror, in addition to our next book, which is Mr. Magic. Once again, nothing wrong with this book, just wasn't my favorite thing I have ever read. I do really enjoy this concept of like a haunted film, a cursed film, and I also love the intersection of like kids and horror, and so reading a book about a children's TV show that is a horror book was so intriguing to me, and I'm really glad that I did read this because I'd heard a lot of negative things about a different title by this author, Hyde, and I didn't read Hyde, and I wasn't sure that I was going to pick up another release from her because of that negative press that I had seen, but But I'm really glad I picked up Mr. Magic because I am going to keep an eye on this author in the future. I really did enjoy what she had to say here. I think she can write horror really well. I am not someone who loves my horror to be hopeful at the end, and for me, this book was kind of too hopeful at the end. Reading the author's note and reading the afterword, this is a book that Kirsten White wanted to write, needed to write, and it's a lot about unpacking her own childhood trauma and the way that she was brought up and not allowed to kind of be a kid, and writing this horror story as a way to unpack that. I thought it was really powerful. I really enjoyed reading that afterward. I would highly recommend reading the afterward author's note if you do read this. I really got a lot more out of the book after having read that, but ultimately this kind of story isn't really what I am looking for in horror, but I definitely would not dissuade anyone from picking it up. Let's talk about Holly by Stephen King. It's what won the Goodreads Choice Awards for horror. It was fine. It was fine. I gave it a 3, and now I'm feeling like maybe I should have given it a 2.75. Sorry, the dog is snoring on top of me. It was fine. It was fast paced. I was interested to see what was going to happen. The concept was cool. I do like the concept of older people being scary. But ultimately, I was just waiting to get through this book. I wasn't super interested in what we had to say. I thought that this story could have been told in a lot fewer words, and therefore I wasn't super duper interested in it. I will say the thing that I was enjoying the most was we kind of had this mentor-mentee relationship with this older author and this younger author. Knowing that Stephen King has written books about writing, it just, I don't know, it felt like he was trying to mentor young writers through the book in a way, and I really did enjoy that aspect of it. The horror was horror. It's not my favorite type of horror. I like a supernatural horror. Full disclaimer, I also have not read any other Stephen King horror. This was my first one, and it was only because it won the Goodreads Choice Awards. Otherwise, I would not have read it. So maybe I'm missing some backstory and I would have appreciated this a lot more, but for me, it gets a 2.75. Another 3-star for you is Cursed Cocktails. I thought this was really charming, cozy fantasy. We're following our main character who is a blood mage, and they are kind of leaving that life behind. They were in the military, they were fighting these behemoths, and it really took a toll on their body. The way that their like magic works left them in a lot of pain. They kind of have this mission to go try some cocktails because they have this cocktail book from their father who has since passed away, and it's kind of the only thing that they have left of him. And so he goes south to try to explore some of the more southern places that might be a little easier on his joints, and also try out some of these cocktails. Ends up opening a cocktail bar. It's a very cute cozy fantasy. It has a lovely little romance in it. We get to befriend a couple of critters. It's a very nice time. I just thought that the world building was a little bit too clunky for me, so it wasn't my favorite cozy fantasy I've ever read, but again, wouldn't dissuade anyone from reading it. Which brings us to Our Share of Night, which is a 3.5 star from me. I can appreciate this book so much, and I really am excited to pick up more from Mariana Enriquez. I know she has one short story collection out right now called The Dangers of Smoking in Bed. I really want to pick that up. She also has a new release this year that's being translated into English. That is also a short story collection that I really want to pick up because I've seen what she does with a lot of pages, and I think I'm gonna like what she does with less pages even more, because this really felt like a book for the literary fiction people. It felt like a book for the historical fiction people. And then it had these little pieces of horror that I found to be incredibly gripping and exciting and interesting, and I want more of that aspect of her writing. I think this is such a well-written book. It is so interesting. We're following different perspectives in here. We're centered around this occult group and this family, this man who's a medium for these occult people and his son. He has some health issues. He's trying to basically save his son from these occult people. This boy's mother has just died. We get to see lots of different timelines. The haunted house aspects of this and the actual occult aspects of this were so interesting and gave me so much to think about, scared me, was exactly what I'm looking for in horror. But as someone who does not typically read super long historical fiction, literary fiction, this kind of lost my interest a little bit. And so I'm really excited to pick up short story collections from this author in the future. and the rest are 4 and 5 stars, which is very exciting. Let's start with Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is a really cute little romance story. It's got a 10-year age gap, which is not something that I thought I would be interested in, but I did really love this, and it is set in Minnesota, which is where I grew up. So that was a really exciting thing to see. I'm gonna pick up more from this author in the future because I think she is from Minnesota and writes a lot of her books set in the Midwest. So I'm excited to pick up more of her stuff just for that reason alone. I thought the relationship was really compelling in here. Our male main character and our female main character seem to be from really opposite sides of life. Our male main character is the mayor of this really small town. He's bottle feeding a baby goat. He's a carpenter. He has his craft. And our female main character lives in the city. She works in this hospital. She's very like high powered, and they meet one day through a series of unfortunate events. They end up trying to figure out how to make this relationship work. It's not obvious that they fit well into each other's lives. And this book just gave me a lot to think about in terms of like my own relationship even, because if you look at me and my current partner's beliefs and life on paper, it wouldn't be super clear that we are super compatible, but I've never felt this way about anyone before in my life. This book had a lot of parallels to my life, gave me a lot of things to think about as I navigate that relationship that I really want to cherish in my own life. I have no idea what I was talking about. The mail came, the dogs barked. We're back now. I enjoyed this. Next up, let's talk about Giant Days. This is a beautiful graphic novel about these friends who are in college and the friendships that they're making, the relationships that they're having. It's just so real in the like college shenanigans way, and it gave me a lot of nostalgia for my time at university. I seriously cannot wait to pick up more volumes of this, and now that I'm sitting here reviewing this, I think I might get volume 2 and possibly volume 3 as well for myself for a little birthday present for February. Bookshops and Bone Dust is the sequel to Legends and Lattes. It's another 4-star. I enjoyed this a lot. It wasn't the 5-star read that Legends and Lattes was. Legends and Lattes was in my top 10 of last year. This is just a really solid prequel. It got me at the end. I feel like I was just crying the whole time when I read Legends and Lattes because of how nice everyone was being to each other. And this one, I didn't get that until the very end, and then I got it in a big dollop of tears. I really liked what this book had to say about books. Our main character, Viv, who we know from Legends and Lattes, this is before she hangs up her sword to open up her coffee shop. So in this one, we're getting to see her make this friendship with our character who's running this bookshop, and we get to watch them become friends through book recommendations, which is so cool. I obviously love recommending books to people, and it's what I do whenever I give anyone a present typically in my life, if I know that they do enjoy reading. And it was really cool watching this friendship and how this owner of the bookshop would get to know Viv by recommending her books and then asking her questions about the book, and then Viv would offer up parts of herself. The dog is trying to get comfy and the tripod was in the way, so I apologize if you keep being pushed around. Viv will respond and offer up pieces of herself and her opinions about things through talking about the book, and I just thought that was a really cool passage because I feel like I do that in my life as well. The Brides of High Hill is the 5th book in the Singing Hills cycle. This was an ARC that I was kindly sent through NetGalley, so thank you NetGalley for sending me this. I gave The Brides of High Hill 4 stars. This is my 3rd favorite book in the Singing Hills cycle. I absolutely adore this novella series. We were following our cleric Chi through all of these different adventures. I learned as I was reviewing this for NetGalley that these can be read in any order. So if one of them sounds particularly interesting to you and you're not particularly interested in the first one, dive in wherever you please. This book was much faster paced than a lot of the other ones in the series. I tend to enjoy the ones that are a little bit more intimate more than I enjoy the ones that are very fast paced. I feel like either we're being told a story in one location or we're experiencing something that's going to be written down as a story. I tend to like the former better than the latter, but this one was still really, really good, especially the way that it all came together at the end. So we were following our cleric Chi. They are kind of accompanying this woman as she goes to be this bride for this much older man, and she is kind of there as an advisor, there to witness the event. They're kind of exploring these castle grounds. There's a prince there who seems to have something wrong with him, and then we open this chest and find something horrifying inside. I will say I was so kind of confused at the tone shift that we were getting in the first half of this, and then the second half really tied everything together in a bow. So if you're gonna pick this up on a release day and you're feeling a little bit weird about the first half, Keep going. I promise the end is worth it. Another 4-star is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I can't remember what I told you guys was my rating when I finished this, but it's 4 stars. It's for sure 4 stars. This is the story of Addie LaRue. She makes this deal with the darkness so that she can live forever, but no one will remember her. So anytime anyone like goes through a doorway or stops looking at her, they forget that she exists. That concept is just incredible. Every year on the anniversary of her deal, the darkness kind of comes back and asks her if she's ready to give up and trade her soul. He's basically making her life as miserable as possible so that she will give him her soul. Because when she makes the deal, she tells him, you know, when I'm done living, you can have my soul. I have said many times that I am not a historical fiction person. If you are a historical fiction person and you like deals with the devil and a little bit of darkness and you like really thoughtful conversations about love and connection, this is going to be like your favorite book ever. And I know that everyone loves this book and I'm not saying anything new here, but truthfully, I am not a historical fiction girly, and the fact that this got 4 stars from me is very surprising to me. While I was reading this, I was enjoying it a lot, but I didn't expect to find myself here a couple of weeks later still thinking about it and thinking about the sacrifices that were made in here and the relationships that we had and the things that we were talking about. I don't want to spoil anything because I want you to read it. The idea of how do I make an impact when no one can remember me and I cannot leave my own mark on the world, the idea of leaving your mark on the world through influencing other people in small ways. I just really, really enjoyed all the things that this had to say. Coming in at 4.25 stars is Trust of the Emerald Sea. I loved this so much. I had read the Mistborn trilogy before reading this. I had some issues with the way that Brandon Sanderson was writing women in those books. This had everything that I love about Brandon Sanderson's writing and nothing that I didn't like. So huge win here. I will be picking up more of his work in the future. We're following Tress of the Emerald Sea. Tress loves her life on this tiny little rock in the middle of nowhere. The seas in this world are made of spores, and different spores have different properties. The magic system and the world building is incredible. Brandon Sanderson does it so well. It does not feel info dumpy. It doesn't feel like I'm reading a history textbook. Nothing is there that doesn't need to be there. And we still get to experience this incredibly rich and well thought out world. He does a fantastic job at world building and magic systems. We all know this. Also really loved the characters that we met in here. This is a more lighthearted and funnier story than a lot of his other books are. I mean, I've only read Mistborn. That was a pretty dark situation. This is a lot more lighthearted. It's what came out of Brandon Sanderson's head after his wife and him watched The Princess Bride, and his wife was like, I really wish there were more for Buttercup to do. This is that story. I thought it dragged just a tiny bit in the middle, which is the only reason why it's not getting 5 stars. I really did enjoy everything about this. I think maybe there were, 25 to 50 pages we could have just plucked out and we would have had a perfect book here. Our first 4.5 star is The Disappearing Act by Catherine Steadman. This is my 3rd book from this author. I don't know what it is about her writing style, but I eat it up every single time. 0 times out of the 3 times I've read a synopsis of a Catherine Steadman book have I gone, wow, that sounds incredibly interesting and I definitely need to pick that up. The first book I had read was Something in the Water, and the audiobook was available from my library, and I was like, okay, I'll put it on. I'll see what happens. I DNF a lot of audiobooks. That's how most of my DNFs happen. If I own a book physically, I give it a big shot, but if I'm just getting an audiobook from the library, I'll try anything for 5 minutes. I absolutely devoured that book, and I've absolutely devoured every single other book that she has written that I have read. In this one, we're following our main character who is in Hollywood for pilot season, and there's this woman at her audition, and she goes to feed her meter for her, and then when she comes back, this woman is gone. She's disappeared completely. And we're basically following our main character as she tries to figure out what happened and gets way too involved in this situation. I think Catherine Steadman does a fantastic job at keeping me interested. That seems like a pretty basic premise. It doesn't seem like something that I would be super intrigued by. It doesn't feel like there's anything new there. But whatever is in her writing, I eat it up. I love it so much. It's so fast-paced. It's so exciting to read. I just can't stop reading him, and I will keep picking him up. My phone is currently blowing up right now because Lewis Hamilton just announced that he's moving to Ferrari in 2025, and my friends know I'm a huge F1 fan, and they're like, texting me, asking me what's going on. Anyways, our next book we need to talk about is How Do You Live? This is the book that inspired the new Studio Ghibli movie. Apparently it has like some significance to our main character in that film. I haven't watched the film yet. I was really hoping that I would have watched the film by the time I did this wrap up, and I still have not been able to. I think I missed my window for seeing it in theaters, so I'll have to wait until it comes out on streaming. I really enjoyed this book and I'm really excited to see what the film is like. Please hype it up in the comments if you've seen the movie and you enjoyed it. I would love that excitement to fuel me through until I'm able to see it for myself. We're following this young boy and these letters and conversations between him and his uncle, as his uncle basically like teaches him how to be a good person and talks through situations that are happening in this young boy's life where he has friends who are being bullied at school and different experiences and other people in his life who are just trying to help raise a good person. And it's just such a good book. I think again, while I was reading it, I was like, oh yeah, this is great. I'm enjoying this. I'm thinking deeply about things. I think about this book all the time. Like even this week, I was thinking a lot about regret and what this book has to say about it. I'll link my video in which I talked about some of the conversations that are happening in this book. This story really helped me to think about how I am in my own life and how I can be a better person. I love, 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 love this book so much. It is Miyazaki's favorite book from his childhood, and I definitely see why. I will be convincing more people to read this book, including you, hopefully. I also finally read Harrow the Ninth. I was confused the entire time and I loved it. I love the banter. I love the magic system. It is so well thought out and this world is just so exciting and so nuanced, and the magic system just really itches my brain in a really cool way. I am fascinated by like the human body and how that all works. And so because this is a necromancy magic system, it really itches the science part of my brain. This series is just literally all of my favorite things. It's got banter, it's got wordplay, it's got dark, scary horror type elements, it's got science fiction, it's got this incredible magic system and world building. It has these big philosophical conversations about God. It's perfect. I love these books so, so, so much. Gideon the Ninth is one of my favorite things I've ever read, and this book was exceptional as well. Okay, on to our 5 stars. We're gonna eat the frog first because don't know how I felt about the sequel, but I did reread Fourth Wing. It's still a 5-star book. This book is important to me because of the EDS representation, and I still think that this was an incredibly entertaining book. I stand by my 5-star. I know a lot of people who have like dropped their ratings on Fourth Wing because of how not good Iron Flame was, but you know what? I'm sticking by it. This was still good the second time I read it. I'm not saying any more about it though, because I think all that needs to be said about Fourth Wing has been said at this point. Natural Beauty is another 5-star that came out of that Goodreads Choice Awards horror video. This is such an incredible book. If you liked Rouge by Mona Wad and you haven't picked this up yet, I am begging you to pick this up. The premises of both of these books are very similar, and so I think it's very easy to compare them, but they are kind of talking about different things, and this was just much more of the type of horror that I enjoy. We do have 2 timelines that are going on here. We're following our main character as she is in this piano conservancy, and she's really, really talented at piano. I grew up playing piano, so that was a really cool aspect of this. I really liked seeing that. And we're also seeing what happens after she leaves the piano conservancy, and she gets wrapped up in this beauty company, spa treatments, culty things, creepy things going on. This also has a lot to say about Western beauty standards and race, and also what it is to be beautiful and what it is to be hideous. This is just my favorite horror. I absolutely adore literary horror. I had such a good time reading this, and I am so happy that the Goodreads Choice Awards forced me to read this because I had such a fantastic time with it, and I want more people to pick this up. This book seriously was perfect all the way through, really stuck the landing and everything, and I feel like that's often tough for me to find a horror book specifically, that really sticks the landing, and this definitely did that. Speaking of a book that sticks the landing, My Heart is a Chainsaw was on my best books of 2023. I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing me talk about this at this point, but I love this book so much. If I can convince one more person to read My Heart is a Chainsaw by talking about it, I'm gonna keep talking about it. This is the story of Jade, who is just so 17. She is in high school and she's obsessed with slasher movies in such an annoying way. Every single person she meets, all she wants to do is talk about slashers. Her history papers, instead of writing actual history papers, she writes them on the history of slasher movies, and we get to see those papers. In this book, we're also following this situation that's unfolding where this girl who moves to town, Jade is convinced that she is a final girl and that a slasher cycle is about to happen in their town. This was truly like the perfect book for me. I by no means think that this is going to be the perfect book for everyone, but it was the perfect book for me. One of my favorite movies of all time is Jaws, and that has a big role to play in this book as well. It just, everything about it was so good. I didn't talk about the sequel when we were in the 4.5 category because I wanted to wait until we talked about the first one, but I also read the sequel. It was 4.5 stars. I'm so excited for the third book to come out. I'm not going to say much about this besides that it is much faster paced than the first one, so maybe if you read the first one, you weren't sure if you wanted to pick up the second one because you didn't like how slow it was. This one's much more fast paced. It's much more slasher than the first one is, and I really enjoyed it as well. Nothing is ever going to top My Heart is a Chainsaw, but I did think that this was a really solid sequel. Monstrelo is another 5-star horror that came out of that video. Again, I love literary horror. Monstrelo is everything that I wanted it to be. We're following these different perspectives, and I think this book was so intentionally written, and even the choices of whose perspective we were going to be in while certain events happened just felt so incredibly intentional. We're giving us commentary on what it is to be unknown and how to understand a character's motivations when we are not inside their head when these incredibly important things are happening to them. We start by following this mother, and her son dies, and she is so wrapped up in this grief that she takes a piece of his lung. That lung grows into a little monster called Monstrelo. It is such a modern day Frankenstein. We're having all these questions about what it is to be a monster, what it is to be a human, the things that we'll do for grief, and the things that we'll do for love. Again, this book really stuck the landing. I highly encourage you to pick this up if you're a person who likes literary horror. And my battery's about to die. I'll be back in just a second and we can talk about the rest of the 5 stars. We're back. We're almost done. Let's chat about my favorite books of all time. I did reread A Psalm for the Well-Built and A Prayer for the Crown Shy. I gave a copy of this book to my boyfriend for Christmas, and I annotated it for him, so I reread it and wrote thoughts and feelings and questions to him while I was reading it, and then I can't read the first one without reading the second one, so I had to finish it. This is the story of a monk and a robot. We have our T-Monk decks, and they are trying to figure out what their purpose is in life. We're also following this robot, Mosscap, as they try to answer the question, what do humans need? It's this incredible view of not a utopia, but not a dystopia either, just an imagined future where humans start caring about the environment and start really thinking deeply about how to create a society that is not harmful to the most people. It is just incredible books. I love them. Please read them. Then I reread the Saint of Steel series. This is my favorite author, T. Kingfisher. This is a little cozy fantasy. I say cozy. There are a lot of decapitations and violence. Sully's here now. I really love this series. I talked about this in last week's video. So like all of these other books, I'm gonna link the blog in the description so you can hear full thoughts on everything. But in each of these, we're following a paladin and their love interest. So in this one, we are following Stephen and Grace. Grace is a perfumer, and we really get to know her job and the way that how she exists in the world is influenced by her job, which was really interesting, especially because I'm on my own little perfume journey right now, trying to figure out what I like in scents. I just really adore this series. I read Paladin's Grace, Paladin's Strength, and Paladin's Hope, and I'm now reading the 4th one, which just came out in December, which is Paladin's Faith. I just really love this world, the world of the White Rat. I feel similarly about this world as I do about this one. They are both worlds in which I see religions that I really like. I see ways of government that are really interesting, and they have just a lot to say about the way that we create community for each other, in addition to being really entertaining books. I do find that this series is not the best series to binge. They get a little bit repetitive, and that the paladins are very big man who is guilty protects person, and the love interests, the first 2 are female love interests, and then the 3rd is a male-male romance, and then the 4th is again a male-female romance. The love interests can get a little, I'm just me, why would anyone love me, which is pretty annoying, and I did have to stop reading the 4th one, and I'm gonna pick it up in about a week because the paladin was just so guilt-ridden, talking about how he can't ever do anything right, and it got pretty annoying and I had to put it down, but I love these so much. Okay, that is everything that you have seen in videos, plus Small Angels, which I did not vlog my experience of. I have also read Open Throat and Book of Night, which you will see hopefully in next week's video. I'm not going to tell you my rating on either of them because I don't want to spoil the vlog, but I have read Open Throat and Book of Night. Just wanted to mention those as well to you, and I'm so excited to share my thoughts on those in next week's video. This was a lot. Thank you for sticking through until the end. I really appreciate you being here. I will see you next week with another vlog, hopefully. Let me know what you guys have been reading in the past couple of months. Let me know how often you want to see wrap-ups from me, because there are going to be books that I don't end up vlogging and I don't want to miss out on those books. But as you saw, in 3 months, there was only one book that I didn't vlog. So I would love to hear from you guys who are still here at the end of this video what frequency you want to see wrap-ups. I typically do them monthly, but with end of year content and doing a lot of videos where I'm reading a lot of books in one video, it's kind of tough to do monthly wrap-ups for those videos that span more than 1 month to make. I think in the new year, I can go back to doing monthly wrap-ups if that's interesting. If you like just the larger wrap-ups like this, we can do that as well. If you want to hear more like stats about my reading on a quarterly basis, we could also do that. You just let me know what you want to see from me and I will make it. While you're down there in the comments giving your opinion on that, I would love to hear what you guys have been reading. I would love to hear what you want me to read next. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time. I post every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, so I will see you then. Bye.